Hey, what's up guys? It's Marf and welcome back to another Asphalt 9 update video. I know I'm a bit late on this and the update is actually out for all platforms now, but today we'll be going over the electric season update. And I know a lot of people were kind of expecting that huge club update that they were teasing for a while now, but now we're pretty sure that it is going to be the next update, and that should probably arrive around November. So this, I guess, is more of a filler season, so we'll have to see what they do with the next update. But for now, this is actually a pretty cool update because we have 6 new electric cars. We're going to go over all of those in this video, as well as some of the other changes in this update. Firstly, let's go over the new cars because that is the most exciting part in this update, and there are some actually pretty cool cars in this update. So, like I said, in total there are going to be 6 new cars in this update. The first one we have is the Toroidian 1MW. Now, this was not in the patch notes in terms of pictures, and I don't find it in the garage, but you can see a picture of it here, and so we don't really know what its rank will be. At least I don't. I couldn't find any information on it, but it looks pretty darn cool. And because it's a special event, hopefully it will be some sort of king of its class or somewhere around there. Next up, we have the 2 Grand Prix cars. So these are going to be unlockable through the Grand Prix, keep in mind. And that is the Volkswagen Electric R, as you can see here. Looks pretty darn cool. It looks like it's going to be the new D-Class king in terms of rank, but it looks like it's an exaggerated Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. So in terms of how it actually performs, we'll just have to see if the stats reflect how good it is. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. And by the way, this is really similar, or in fact it might be the same car as the Volkswagen IDR that is currently in Asphalt 8. So I don't know why the name changed, but it looks like it's just the same car. So next up, in terms of the other Grand Prix car, that is going to be the Racer Tachyon Speed Prototype. And that is going to be a pretty low-end S-Class car, but I do have to say the look of this vehicle is really cool. I love the shape of it and that narrow strip of the cockpit in the center. That looks pretty darn cool. So the other special event car for this update is going to actually be the Rimac Concept 1, which I was not expecting because obviously we now have the Concept 2, which is now known as the Nevera, but I wasn't expecting them to bring back an old Rimac car. I kind of like the Concept 1. I really, especially the connection with the Grand Tour, if you guys have ever watched that before. But it's a really cool looking car, and it's a very neat car, and I'm glad that in terms of the history of the electric supercar that they're adding this to Asphalt 9. In terms of rank, it looks like it could be situated near the top of A-Class, but it might not be a king, but it also doesn't look like it just could be a normal A-Class car, so keep an eye out on that because that might be a good A-Class car to try and get. Next up, we have the Draco Gte, which personally is one of my favorites in this update. I absolutely love the look of this car. If you didn't know, the chassis and sort of body style is actually taken from the Fisker Karma, which was a car released around 10 years ago at this point, and it is considered one of the most beautiful cars ever made, and the Draco Gte certainly carries that over. I absolutely love the look of this car. This was actually a car released in Asphalt 8 a while ago, so I know a lot of people have it in Asphalt 8, so that is probably the best way to look and sort of view around this car and sort of play with it. But I will say, in terms of the rank of this car, it looks like to be a mid-range B-Class car because it is going to be very similar to all the other Legend Pass cars. You can actually see it in the garage. It's right next to the McLaren Elva, the Murcielago, and those other Legend Pass cars that we've been gotten for the past couple of seasons. Now, I will say the patch notes say that there is going to be a car hunt for this car, but when you load up the game, it says that you'll have to have the Legend Pass in order to have the Draco Gte, so that probably means that it'll be a Legend Hunt or Legend Pass exclusive car hunt and not a freely available car hunt to everyone. And our last car for this update is the Renault Tresor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, this car is in D-Class, sort of in the mid-range, but near the top. It is right between the Jetta G60 and the Honda Civic Type R. So not the worst type of car, but it's, not really going to be a king of D-Class, but it might be on some tracks, depending on how the stats are. Now, I will say that because it's, right around the area of the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, which we will talk about in a bit, I was expecting this to be the Legend Pass car. Now, because they said that in the patch notes the Draco Gte was getting a car hunt, but that actually is turning out to be the Legend Pass car, I'm thinking maybe they meant that the Renault Tresor is going to be in the car hunt, because they didn't mention what event is going to bring the Renault Tresor into the game. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with that, or if they correct the patch notes or something. But yeah, it's in D-Class. Like I said, this is probably one of the best looking cars in the game at the moment. Now this car is also in Asphalt 8 currently, so you can take a look more at detail in that car if you want to watch gameplay of it. But yeah, those are all the new cars in the Electric Season update. Of course, there might be secret cars, which I'll let you guys know of if those pop up. And of course, you know, I know a lot of people are expecting like the Pininfarina Battista and some of the other electric cars to come back, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with those cars. So in terms of different changes and other things in this update, the reason why I mentioned I would be talking about the Taycan Turbo S later in the video is because we are finally getting a car hunt for that car that you don't need the Legend Pass in order to play. So this is the first time a Legend Pass car has been available to all players, and I believe now it's been a year and a half. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it's been about that time since that car was introduced to the game, which is a pretty long time. So that sort of gives us a time frame of when a Legend Pass exclusive car is introduced into the game versus when free-to-play players can access it. Now, in terms of the events, I already kind of went over that we're going to have 2 Grand Prix for the Volkswagen Electric R and the Racer Tachyon Speed. The Toroidian 1MW and the Rimac Concept 1 are going to get special events. I will mention for the Toroidian 1MW, that is going to require the Legend Pass. So for the Rimac Concept 1, hopefully you won't need the Legend Pass for that, and maybe it'll just be a nice way for players to get a nice A-class car. Now, the Tech Rules AT96 track version is also coming back, but this time it is going to be in an Unleashed event. So presumably you will need to max out the car in order to unlock the key for that car, or probably there will be key packs for that as well. Now, this was something that I was not expecting, but in the patch notes they mention a grand prize of 250 blueprints for the Vanda, but that is going to be a new type of event called a showdown. Now, that was mentioned in the what's new section in the game, but we actually don't know much. It just says that try out a brand new showdown event for a chance to win a max star Vanda Electric's Dendrobium. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. They do mention a leaderboard, so it'll presumably be a leaderboard-based event, but beyond that, we don't really know too much. Now, as with most of these updates, we are getting a new career season for the Electric Season, and you can go view that and go through. There are a couple races at the beginning where I think most players are going to be able to play because they don't require the new cars, which is nice. So maybe once players get further in, we can maybe see some secret cars or something like that. Beyond that, the Ford GT Mark II is getting a beautiful new decal where you can see some pictures here. And let's go over some final changes to this update. So there is a new body kit for the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider. They have apparently made some fixes for the Auckland track. Not sure specifically what those are, but hopefully they improve the track overall. And that is really about it. Of course, there are probably some other changes in this update that are kind of hidden that we'll go ahead and find out, and hopefully players will let us know and everyone what has actually changed. But other than that, this is a pretty solid update. Again, probably a filler update for their, still working on the club update coming hopefully around the November time. That is probably when that update will come. But yeah, this is going to be a great opportunity to get some nice cars. I will say some of these cars are probably not going to be worth it to go for, like the Racer Tachyon Speed, because it's a very low-end S-Class car. But other than that, I'm pretty excited for all of these cars. Hopefully the requirements to get these special events won't be too bad, but 2 Grand Prix is definitely nice as well. But let me know your thoughts on this update in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys later.